Visa is a technology company that connect financial ecosystem players to allow consumers like you and me to be able to do transaction in the best possible manner everywhere, every time you want. Uh, it's Visa's mission or a purpose statement. We claim to be a company which wants to offer to every consumer of ours the best way to pay and to get paid everywhere, every time. Anupam, believe me, for India, small business is a big business. So with partners like Visa, we are helping them drive change, adopt to more secure ways of paying and getting paid. So I am very comfortable saying that the regulator, the initiatives government has taken, the JAM Trinity specifically, some of the foundational work, and we spoke about the card controls as a consumer which regulator is driven. I think we are poised to next inflection point in digital payments.
Folks, welcome to Paisa Vaisa. I'm your Anupam Gupta, and on today's episode, I am thrilled to welcome back Visa on our show. Visa, the payment giant, and to do a lot more than that. My guest, Vipin Surelia, Head of Risk Services at Visa India and South Asia. Vipin, welcome to Paisa Vaisa. Thank you so much for doing this for our listeners.
Thank you, Anupam. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of Visa. I am a very active listener of your podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for continuing to educate people on personal finances. And I am happy to chat with the wisest owl here.
Oh my, okay. That's a lot to digest. But Vipin, I had Selish Paul, right? Back in the day when we were still doing online recording. So the second time that I have Visa on my show, as with him and with you, I want to start by telling our audience who exactly is Visa. I know that I have at least two products of Visa in my pocket right now. Probably a debit card. No, not probably. Actually a debit card and a credit card. So introduce Visa to our audience.
Oh, Anupam, thank you for being a loyal Visa customer. Love that. So Visa is a technology company that connects financial ecosystem players to allow consumers like you and me to be able to do transaction in the best possible manner everywhere, every time you want. It's Visa's mission or a purpose statement. We claim to be a company which wants to offer to every consumer of ours the best way to pay and to get paid everywhere, every time they want.
Yeah, and you've been in India for quite some time. Visa's been around for quite some time in India. India is quite important, isn't it?
Take a guess how long we have been in India.
I'm assuming that I'm 54 and so are you for that matter, as I just learned. At least utna to hoga, I'm assuming.
Yes, slightly less. We have been around for more than 4 decades.
Nice.
Proud to share that probably the first network to introduce a very significant financial instrument, the credit card in the country. India is key to our priorities. India is a key focus market for us. Not only do we work with banks in India, the regulator, the fintech community, the financial ecosystem. I am based out of Mumbai, but in Bangalore we have a setup which is 4,000 people strong,
Wow.
which is almost 12% of our global workforce. Proud to share that the team in India designs products for India and for the global ecosystem. Most of our India solutions and the regional solution and global solution are designed, developed, tested, and implemented with the help of these payment experts, which are based out of Bangalore. So happy to share that while we are Make in India, but we also do a lot of things for the world.
I want to understand what happens under the hood. Right now, whenever I use my debit card at an ATM or credit card at a merchant, there's a lot of stuff that's happening. I'm just fascinated by the technology part of it. And I like that you introduced Visa as a tech company. So what happens? Like you just swipe or you enter your, and we'll get to cybersecurity also in a bit. You enter your credit card number online. What's happening under the hood for this transaction to go in, I don't know, second?
Oh, okay, so let me attempt to demystify for our audiences. So, if I were to put it in the boxes, there are four key steps. I'll call it authentication, authorization, clearing, and settlement.
Wow.
To demystify, authentication is identifying who the person behind the transaction is, be it offline, be it online. And that is very important because as Visa, we believe that given all the technology, given all the partnerships we have, all of us in the payments industry have two most important roles to play. Every time Anupam or Vipin wants to use their credentials, they should be able to use it. And second and more important is no one else should be able to use it. So that's the authentication piece of it.
Yeah.
Then if you to explain the next step, let me also say that we are called a four-party model, which is Visa in between. Okay. Then if you go to say Amazon.com, Amazon is your merchant. He gets acquired by say HDFC Bank in India, who's the acquirer. And then Anupam, you have used say your ICICI card, you are the consumer and ICICI Bank is your issuer.
Correct.
So what Visa has to ensure is capturing again two premises or axioms I mentioned. You should always be able to use your card. No one else should be able to use your card. So we have to provide that layer of what people believe is magic, but is simple technology that the transaction flows from the merchant to the acquiring bank, then it comes to the network and network routes it to the issuer, sure. Your bank, cardholder's bank, and then cardholder bank does validations like whether you have money in account. He also does risk checks and we provide technologies for that as well for those partners who are willing to use Visa technology. So in a jiffy, we have to make sure that you have been able to do your transaction. Merchant is assured that he has received a confirmation that Anupam's transaction is good, yes. And he is able to part or deliver goods if you are doing an online transaction.
Yeah. And the least favorite part of everybody's thing is when the transaction fails. What are the possible reasons for that?
So multiple reasons could be there, and I'll come back to something good which the regulator has done in this market. Yeah. So good call out on regulator, RBI, they came up with something called card controls.
Okay.
So it gives you a choice to do transaction when you want, on which channel you want, on which limits you want. So that can be one reason why it can possibly fail.
There's international and domestic.
Correct.
There are limits for each
and
at a point of sales. Correct. Or online.
Correct.
Those. Oh, lovely.
So
okay.
That's one part of
and
it.
That's in my hands now.
It's so empowering if you think through it. Then banks also write their risk rules. Merchants also write their risk rules. So risk rules, and we always talk about an appropriate level of friction. So why we would always want the ease of transaction, but from a security perspective, we want not a frictionless flow, but an appropriate level of friction to be available. So given these checks have to be performed, sometimes there might be a scenario where transactions might fail. The other big reason could be operational failures. So we have designed our network on 6-9 principles, capacity to handle thousands of transactions per second, and so do our partners do globally. Basically, fraud rules and operational resilience is two reasons why we can find your transactions failed.
Yeah. And you spoke about number of transactions, thousands per second. I mean,
transactions per second.
I can't imagine the scale that you guys are operating in. What's that like? I mean, billions per year, per day, or what?
So it runs into billions of transactions globally, sure. No doubt.
You've been in the industry for quite some time now, right? And you've been seeing payments across other companies. You've been worked at the regulator. What are the main shifts that India has seen in these past few decades? And I think the pace of change has also increased. I think post 2016 when Aadhaar came in, just give us a regulatory top-down, regulatory and payments overview of how India has seen this fundamental shift in payments in the last few decades.
Okay, so I think it's more in the context of how the economy and demographics have evolved. So the headline statement I would say would still be that India has been a world leader in driving innovation and driving technology change. So, and I'll break my answer in 2-3 parts.
Sure.
So I'll go back to the economy and demographic context. So, given that we have such a young workforce, the median of our population is not even 30. Just imagine most of us, and you spoke about we being 54, most of us were not there 30 years back, which means that there is a huge pool of workforce.
It is.
There is an aspiring middle class who wants to continue growing. In fact, if I recall the numbers, I believe there are going to be 730 million plus of us in the middle class. From an economic perspective, we continue to grow 7% year on year. We are poised to become the third largest economy behind US and China.
Sure.
And we are poised to hit 7 trillion by 2030 given the demographic factors itself. That's one piece of it. The second and more interesting piece of it is how the consumers are evolving. And thanks to all the good work our very pragmatic, attentive regulator has done, platforms like Visa, fintech community, our banking partners continue to do, we see there is a very perceived shift in the consumer habits itself. I can give you a couple of examples. For example, now everybody or most part of India and Bharat is comfortable booking a international travel using an OTA platform, as well as if you go in the interiors of India, they are comfortable ordering household goods needed immediately through quick commerce.
Yes.
That's a big shift that has happened on the consumer side. The second big shift is the vernacular. So earlier, we always believed that it's the English-speaking upper middle class or rich people who had access to digital tools. But just imagine now that the same tools are available in vernacular languages. As a country, that's why we are also exploring if AI can be, or the local language models can be the force to drive the change. Third most important change I'm seeing is that people like you and me earlier used to go and search things on Google. But now what we do, we go to our marketplace apps like Amazon, we compare and contrast what's happening there. So that's the story happening on the consumer side. Third, bucket I would call out is on the whole ecosystem around the way India has developed the digital public infrastructure.
The India stack per se.
India stack, you called it outright. The UPI, and UPI has been an unparalleled success in transforming the way people pay and get paid. And also driven by the fact that there are 900 million of us on internet. There are a billion identities, and those billion identities, intersection of that technology can be used to harvest the next level of innovation and change that payments ecosystem can drive.
Okay.
Not only that, if you look at what's happening on the business side, so there are 63 million small businesses. And Anupam, believe me, for India, small business is a big business. So with partners like Visa, we are helping them drive change, adopt to more secure ways of paying and getting paid. So I am very comfortable saying that the regulator, the initiatives government has taken, the JAM Trinity specifically, some of the foundational work, and we spoke about the card controls as a consumer, which regulator has driven. I think we are poised to next inflection point in digital payments.
Very interesting. What about technology? Anything happening there? I mean, because ever since what you said about the JAM Trinity, which folks is basically the Jan Dhan and the Aadhaar and mobile, all three have come together to make things very quick and easy and convenient for payments. So has the technology also been moving alongside that? Regulation, of course, you spoke in depth, in detail about how the regulator has been supporting payments, but tech has been mostly in UPI. In payments or in cards, has technology also done well?
Oh, absolutely. So it's a change which is happening everywhere. So, and when we think of technology, we think it from the perspective of standards, because it makes it very easy for us to adopt things globally. We also look at it from the perspective of not only scale but the ease. So while the front end changes and now there are billions of customers holding mobile devices in their hand, technology has been in step with the changes which have happened. And if we have to support 24 into 7 billions of transactions to happen everywhere, there is no reason why technology should lag behind. And technology has been scaling up to support that from an operational resilience perspective.
A lot of users are now aware of this. Like if you use a credit card in particular somewhere, what is MDR? How does it work? And why do some people charge it? Why do some people don't charge it? Or how is that?
Okay, so it's a fee that an acquirer. So acquirer is a bank who acquires a merchant. So going back to the earlier example of Amazon working with HDFC Bank, so the MDR is a price that Amazon has to pay to the HDFC Bank.
It stands for merchant discount.
Discount rate.
Merchant discount rate. Okay. Yeah.
So there's a lot of discussion and debate which keeps happening, and we as a network keep watching. And the sweet answer or the sweet spot lies in terms of there is a fee which every entity has to pay to give services, etc.
Yeah.
And how do we make sure that it is attractive for everybody to participate? So no straight answer, but it's in space which is evolving, and we'll keep watching.
Okay, so we're going to get into cybersecurity. The last question I want to ask before we go into the break is that the growing digital payments ecosystem has also unfortunately also given rise to number of frauds, cyber fraud, scams in India. Something that obviously the government and the RBI are deeply concerned about. We see the ads also nowadays. Amitabh Bachchan is there everywhere, talking about cybersecurity. As a head of risk at Visa, what would you like to say on this, on behalf of Visa?
Okay, so, and you spoke about Amitabh Bachchan. So, in fact, Mr. Modi in his Man Ki Baat also spoke about cybersecurity, spoke about digital arrests. Taking a step back, so we believe that Visa is a network of network. What it means is that while we have our own ecosystem, but we believe that there is opportunity to collaborate, opportunity to participate. And in that context, and because we operate in 200 geographies, we do take our role on preventing, detecting, and making sure there are enough technologies and tools available to the ecosystem to mitigate frauds. We work very closely with governments, with our clients, with regulators in this mission to continue to make the entire ecosystem secure. And it's just not, we are not talking about the Visa ecosystem. From a Visa perspective, we continue to invest in cybersecurity. We must have made close to over $10 billion investment in cybersecurity over the last 4 or 5 years. We deploy thousands of engineers who make sure that we continue to keep our network secure. Not only that, we also continue to work with our partners to make sure that we provide them with tools which helps them identify, and I'm talking about real-time capabilities. So some of our solutions provide a real-time, I can pick up an example on something called Visa Advanced Authorization. So for every one of our issuer in real time, we send him a score, which will give him the assessment of whether we see how risky or how secure the transaction is. It's a number between 0 to 100.
Okay.
We also, as I mentioned, continue to work very closely with the regulator. And if I take a detour, so our entire security strategy is based on 4 pillars. And because we work so much with data, the three of these strategies around data. So it's about devaluing data, it's about harnessing data, and it's about protecting data. So from that perspective, if I were to talk about protecting data, we talk about the PKIs, encryption. We have a program called PCI, the Payments Card Industry. It's a body that we have created, which ensures that there are rules, guidelines defined so that everybody follows that. If I were to move to harness data, going back to my earlier example, most of our solutions are designed to work real time, to provide capability to our issuers, to our clients, to be able to identify frauds. And one piece of it is empower stakeholders we work with. And the fourth one, devalue data, and I want to call out devalue. Devalue, as the word means, is making something which is priceless to fraudsters as junk.
Wow.
And I would particularly call out the work that our teams have done in India market. And thanks again to the proactive support from the regulator in implementing tokenization. So tokenization is a tool which replaces your 16-digit card number, the sensitive information which fraudsters are after, in the merchant acquiring and other ecosystem, and replace it with a junk value. So even if fraudsters were to get hands on that, they will never find it of any value. Anupam, you would be, I don't know whether you know or not, we have created, since the implementation of tokenization, almost 430 million tokens in the India market.
430 million tokens. Wow.
Globally, today on our network, the number of tokens far exceed the number of card numbers.
Wow.
So we continue to evolve. We continue to make sure that fraudsters, and jokingly, fraudsters also have their families to feed, but we'll continue to make sure that we protect the ecosystem.
We're going to take a small break out here, folks, because I'm sure you're waiting to understand what these frauds are about and how you can be more careful. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Did you know Indians report nearly 800 cases of online financial fraud every day, which has resulted in losses exceeding 1,000 crores in the last 5 years? To keep you safe from such fraud, I am starting my newest podcast series, Conversation with Vigilante, an initiative by HDFC Bank. In every episode, I will feature special guests who can share expert insights on the different types of fraud, their modus operandi, and how you can protect your money. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and don't forget to tune into Conversation with Vigilante. Catch the episodes on all audio streaming platforms and V for Vigilante YouTube channel.
Welcome back. Vipin, as someone who studies scams and frauds every day, do you do that actually? You like study scams and frauds each and every day? Is that part of the job profile also?
Oh, yes.
What are some of the emerging frauds and patterns that you're seeing in payments? We spoke about tokens a lot and the fact that there are so many of them. But I know that, in something like technology and payments, there is a reason for hackers to be faster than the others. So what are any emerging frauds and patterns that you keep on seeing?
Okay, so most of the fraud is going online for understandable reasons, because, and while the good part is that digital gives you the ability to do transaction whenever you want, wherever you want. And Anupam, I don't know, but when we grew up, when the bank closed, we had to literally beg, borrow and steal money if we needed it. But today, there is a whole paradigm shift thanks to the card networks we have been operating for more than 60 years. Can you imagine? UPI was not there before 9 years.
Yes, it wasn't there definitely.
So 24 into 7 into 365 online, and we as consumers want things when we want, as we want. And I think what it has led to is the consumers are becoming the weakest link. If you were to break down any payment transaction in 4 big buckets, which is your product, which is your technology, which is your governance and people.
Yeah.
So I think people continues to be the weakest link. We can strengthen the products, we can refine the rules, we can throw in more technology, more AI, etc. But people continue to be the weakest link. The reason behind it, reason is that today I am online all the time, and my payment habits are as good as or as bad as what I do with my phone, which has become my most ubiquitous
Yeah.
form of being able to pay or receive money. That's one part of it. Second part of it, and technology is democratic today, so fraudsters also have access to the same technology. In some cases, even military grade technology, which they can use to go after the weak links, test our systems. AI, next generation technologies, crypto, quantum, we keep talking about. They are becoming an attractive assets which the fraudsters can use. But the biggest call out I will have is on how fraudsters have started using behavioral science.
Oh, okay.
So there's a technology piece, there is an AI piece, there is a people piece. But just look at what is happening. Fraudsters today are more refined in terms of their approach on how they reach you and me. They create a real life environment, real life situation where they either create a need for greed or create a situation where you feel threatened. And there are multiple examples of it. And today it really makes Jamtara looks old.
Okay.
So the way behavioral science is being harnessed by fraudster is the biggest risk that I see. I'm aware of friends, I'm aware of colleagues who are the most financially savvy people working for financial industry, falling prey to digital arrest,
Yeah.
falling prey to the inducement created on greed, very attractive offers, or getting a phone call, your father is admitted to a hospital. So all these things are something that we need to watch out, be aware as a community. That's one.
Sure.
Second is, and we love social media.
Yeah.
In fact, COVID was a epiphanous moment when more than half of humanity was on social media, and the digital footprint we leave, it continues to be harnessed by fraudsters. So they know where I'm traveling, what I'm eating, they know who my friends are, and while they can hack the account, but they are getting more sophisticated to be able to, as I was mentioning earlier, use behavioral science to create more sophisticated kind of frauds.
What are the top 3 or top most common frauds or identity thefts or hacking or whatever it is that Visa sees in their experience? Like, I want to just give our audience out there an idea as to the most common way, or ways. 1, 2, 3. What would that be?
I will talk about trends. So it's not that they are constant in time. Fraudsters know, and they are so integrated in the ecosystem and behavioral science. So they know the income tax payment season is coming up, so they'll come up with scams, themes around that. They know that there is a Coldplay show happening, or Ed Sheeran is coming to India, so they know there are youngsters who want to buy tickets, they can lure them. But I would still say, having said that, the romance scam continues to dominate.
Romance scam, okay.
And you would be surprised. There are examples from other geographies when the culprit in a romance scam was caught by the police. The victim was so invested in the scamster that she wanted police not to harm him.
Okay.
The
Very
other
interesting.
one is the investment scam that I will call out, where people always tell you invest here, you will continue to get money, but they keep on evolving. So
what we have stopped, I think, really well with the pin. Like in one time there was no pin. When you were using your credit card, I remember back in the day there used to be those massive
Zip
swipe
zap machines.
Yeah, zip zap machines. Thank you very much. If someone stole your credit card, that's it. Then he or she could do whatever they want with it, and you had to physically call the credit card issuer and have that card blocked. Okay, but whatever loss had happened. Then you would have to sit and dispute. So at least that part has been plugged thanks to card controls. And folks, I encourage you, if you're someone who has a credit or a debit card, please go to your banking app. The people who have issued the card to you, go to their app and look for something called card controls, and you'll be able to crack that really, really, really well. I know that card companies themselves put this in the envelope, in the letter, in the box that comes to you with the credit card. So please, as part of cybersecurity, you should take charge of card controls. But what are the more common things that now that incidence has come down? I know from my own experience, there was a time, maybe once in a very rare while, international use would happen, and then I would have to block the card. That I think has come down, hasn't it? Anything else?
A lot of things, Anupam. So if you look at how the card ecosystem has evolved, so you spoke about zip zap machine, and those were magnetic cards. So now, and again, India has been a leader in migrating cards to a new technology, which is the chip and pin. So it's just not a magnetic card. There is an added layer of security through the use of chip and pin, which is there. And the idea is always to make sure that the instrument remains simple in the hands of the cardholder, consumer, but there is a lot of complexities which are moved to the background, and we have rolled out security protocol which we call 3DS. You would have heard about EMV 3DS protocol, which allows the merchant to share more data with the acquirer, which allows Visa as a network to share that data with issuers who can take more informed information, whether to accept or reject that transaction. So issuer is able to figure out basis that information, and basis the tools that we provide, the score that we give, if in his opinion Anupam is the person who is doing that transaction or not. Hey, I have never seen Anupam doing transaction from Columbus, Ohio. I have never seen Anupam doing transaction for say $3,000. He has always done $100 transaction. All those are the red flags which the issuers are able to catch very nicely to protect. Trust also comes through a well-established framework of rules. So if Anupam has the ability to dispute his transaction, and there is a well-established mechanism for Anupam to raise this dispute with his bank, which goes back to the acquirer, which goes back to the merchant, and the investigation that proves that Anupam was not the person who did that transaction, there is a reversal opportunity available. So, and security, as we all know, is not about one trick pony. It's about multiple layers of technology, multiple layers of protocols, multiple features in the product. So I think collectively, and of course podcasts like you do a great job in educating our consumer. So that is making sure that we continue to remain secure.
My favorite thing is always to remember your credit card number. I don't know, folks, I don't know about you, but I know that out of force of habit, I always remember my credit card number. It's happened with me a couple of times, like long ago, that I've had to call the issuer, right, and block the card. Now, whenever I call, then I'm put into an IVRS, okay? Now, if they ask me last 4 digits bolo, last 5 digits bolo, ye bolo, wo bolo, where am I going to remember all of that? But I don't know, somewhere I've just memorized the card numbers in my head that tomorrow if something wrong happens, then I'm at least able to say that to the person on the other side. Because this is not Visa, by the way. I know I'm talking with you, you're from Visa, but this is between me and the card issuer, which is typically a bank or someone or the other, right?
Today, your bank is empowered to do the same thing in your app. So you can open your app. You can go and block. You can put a permanent block. You can put a temporary block. So for viewers to know, there are more tools available which your bank continues to empower you with. And yes, Anupam, you and I are old school. I also remember my 16-digit card number for my most used card. But there are enough tools available where the consumer doesn't have to remember this thing, may not necessarily have to call his bank. There are channels which are available immediately for him to block his card.
Vipin, last question. A lot of the onus when it comes to digital safety lies in the hand of the consumer. Like you said, people are the weakest link. You can do whatever you want about products, make it strong. You can do whatever you want about technology, make it strong. Regulator will do whatever he wants. But people, okay? The RBI and banks keep reminding us not to do certain things, like sharing OTPs. Okay, I don't know. I mean, I don't understand why anyone would do that. Okay, one-time password. I mean, literally, why would you share that with anybody? But ठीक है, होगा कोई reason. As a payments expert, right? What are your list of don'ts? Okay, don'ts, do not, that you would want our audience to know.
I'll start by saying, please, and as a culture, we trust strangers more than we trust people we know. So, as far as payments is concerned, please don't do that. And can you imagine somebody calling and telling there is a sweet deal available, and you have never met that person? Imagine you have never met that person, and you are so comfortable sharing your OTP, your card number, believing that unknown person behind the call is your bank or is offering you something which you don't take in next 3 minutes is going to expire and will not come back to you. So stop trusting your strangers. Stop believing that what is being promised as heaven is really heaven, is the best of deals. Please start thinking why somebody has reached out. And if somebody threatens you, please think through sometimes. And I was telling Anupam earlier, somebody calls you, your son or dad is in hospital, please make sure you call that person before you part with your money. So that's one piece of it. Second piece of it, there is a lot of communication, and again Anupam spoke about it, which RBI and bank does. So there is this whole RBI Kehta Hai series, plus the focus on Cybersecurity, Bharat, and being Satark Nagrik. So each one of us has a responsibility, and I was in one of the workshops where Mr. Amit Shah was saying that we are living in a world where you don't have to share information on a need-to basis amongst the community, but on duty to care. So as the industry, if we see any kind of fraud pattern, etc., it's our duty to make the larger consumer ecosystem aware. There is no guilt and shame in it. Fraudsters will continue to attempt to do what they want in the sliver of chance that they get. And Anupam, you would have heard from your family members, your other friends as well, that they were either victims or they were potential victims of fraud. And it's very important that these stories come out in the open, because the more you share, the more you narrate, the more you educate the masses. Last but not the least, I will also say, please, your mobile device, the device that you have in your hand is your best friend, and it can be your worst enemy. So you are the best risk manager for what you do. So please ensure that you are only using trusted channels. You, as I mentioned, don't trust strangers, don't fall for sweet deals. Do your due diligence before you part with your hard-earned money.
Lovely, folks, because remember that if you are giving out detail to someone, the point of the fraud is it starts from you and the work that you do. I don't think that, a fraudster or a hacker is going to make money just sitting there pushing some buttons. So it's the journey starts with you of how to be safe with your financial dealings, whether it's a Visa or whether it's whatever product. So folks, actually, Vipin, we have a final standard question that we pose to all our guests who come here. We ask for content recommendations from our guests, whether it's a book or anything else that you'd like to share with our audience. Anything interesting there?
Also, I'm reading a book called Money and Promises
Nice.
by an Italian author,
Okay.
Paolo Zanoni. And for those of you, the theme is it talks about 7 deals which changed the world.
Wow.
And it has picked up examples from how the Leaning Tower of Pisa was built to what happened in the Russian Revolution,
Oh,
etc.
Very interesting.
So it will give you an insight, and those of you who come from the financial services industry, and even those who don't, on how central banking or the Reserve Bank of India and the entire ecosystem has evolved in different countries. So it's a pretty interesting book to read.
Money and Promises. Folks, that's the name of the book. And with that, that is a wrap on this episode of Paisa Vaisa. My guest, Vipin Surelia, Head of Risk Services at Visa India and South Asia. Vipin, thank you so much for doing this for our audience.
Thank you, Anupam. Pleasure being with you.